What's going on, guys? So as promised, I got on the Dragonflight beta today and I decided to record a Neltharus gameplay video. This actually is one of my favorite dungeons of the new patch. There's a lot of people that are going to be kind of grumpy at it because it is a pretty linear dungeon. For me personally, I do not care about if a dungeon is linear and it has the creativity of pull pattern and stuff like that. I get the crowd that is a big deal for them, because especially if you're a tank player or something like that, it adds creativity, it keeps variety up, I get it. But for me, what matters more is the pull pattern of a dungeon. So the dungeons I hate are the dungeons that have like 5 2-mob pulls, and then you finally get through those and you have a big old pack of AoE that you want to just pop off on, and you just can't because you have combustion on cooldown because you didn't want to hold it for 5 packs. So to me, what matters the most is pull pattern. This one has pretty good pull pattern. I like the trash, I like the bosses, I think it's a pretty good dungeon. It's pretty, I like the actual aesthetic of the dungeon. One thing to keep in mind is this is the heroic version of the dungeon. Mythic is not out yet for testing, and with the announcement of our release date and stuff like that, I wanted to start getting you guys videos on Dragonflight content sooner rather than later so you know what to expect and what looks fun. So when Mythic comes out for testing, I will definitely be doing that. I'll be trying to give you guys Mythic Plus videos, but for now, this is what we got. One thing I did do in this video, as you have noticed, I'm sure, is I went ahead and covered my damage meters. Tuning has not happened yet. We have no idea what abilities are going to be good, what abilities are going to be bad, what tuning will look like, and so I don't want to bias my viewers with something about a spec before it's even been tuned, before Blizzard just turned the knob to say, we want this to be good, we want this to be bad. One of the cool new abilities that I'm a big fan of in Dragonflight is that return ability that I just used. So I really like that, being able to do the power up time and stuff like that. If you're familiar with what that ability is, after you shimmer, you leave a displacement zone where you can press a button and you will return to wherever it was you shimmered from. So let's say you're in combustion during a raid, big scary stuff comes out on the ground, you've already got your rune of power down, you shimmer out, let the scary stuff go down, and then hit that return, and then you're right back in your rune of power and you're good to go. So I hope you guys enjoyed this dungeon. The goal is mostly for you guys to see what is in store. I'll be popping in every once in a while to my comments. Let's sit back and enjoy. So we are coming up on the first boss here. I go ahead and rip Lust. So I am playing with the talent that allows you to cast a second Lust. So even though I have the time warp debuff, I still have Lust available for myself. I didn't have combustion up for this boss. I kind of forgot that we were coming up on it so soon, so I just used it on a pack. But it melts pretty quick. It's heroic. But one of the things that mages in general are kind of worried about is the fact that you're going to want to use Lust as early as possible to get as many uses of your personal time warp as you can get. So I went ahead and ripped it. I have no idea if this is the right boss to rip it on, but I know that if I rip it now, I will still have it for the next boss. So we'll see how that plays out. I'm still a little skeptical of that talent. I like the talent. I think it adds a really cool aspect of our gameplay, but it's also something that could grief your groups pretty hard if not done correctly. One change that they did recently just make, I don't think it's even appeared on a blue post yet. You'll notice above my combustion weak aura there is a little symbol that pops up. People that played in BFA will recognize that as Blaster Master. It's been renamed to something else now, but it's Blaster Master. They recently changed it from being a 3-second internal cooldown to a 5-second internal cooldown, and it made the gameplay so much better. We were going to be really dependent on high haste, getting PI and stuff like that to maintain that Blaster Master uptime, and now because of that change, it's not a big deal. It plays just like Infernal Cascade. Overall, I'd say Mage is playing pretty similar to Shadowlands Fire Mage. The other specs got a bit of rework. I haven't played around with them too much, but Fire Mage itself feels very similar to Shadowlands Sun King's Blessing Mage. We're playing with Sun King's Blessing. We have essentially Infernal Cascade. My tank really needed taunt here. I got destroyed, and I don't have my Ice Block cancel macro on, so that was a mistake. But there's a couple mechanics in here that will incapacitate you like that. See that little brown swirly next to me? That's actually a spear they will throw. If you get hit by the spear, you get stunned, and your teammates need to break you out, or you have to sit there for 10 seconds and die. It's not fun, so go ahead and avoid that. I'll see you at the next boss. This is that spear I was talking about earlier, where if you stand in the brown swirly, it incapacitates you. You can see that it has a health bar on the top of it, so I'm pretty sure my group could have come and broke me out if they so chose. They did not choose to, so I just had to stay there and be sad. So here comes the second boss. So you can see I just ripped Time Warp on myself, even though I had the debuff. That is that talent that I was talking about earlier. It's really handy. I can see a lot of uses for it. I can see it in Mythic Plus like this, where you want to have a lust on every single boss, but you don't have 10 minutes in between. So Mage will have a lust on every single boss. I could see it in a raid scenario. If there's like a priority ad that you want to kill, you can be the one to rip your personal lust and just blast that thing down. So I can see a lot of applications for it. I think Blizzard really needs to make it its own button as opposed to just being your general Time Warp button, because Time Warp casts on everybody, so it makes it so that the usage is a little limited, especially on a fight like you don't lust on pull or something like that. You're kind of just sitting on it and losing value of it, but maybe that's just when you take the other talent node. We'll have to see what tuning and stuff like that looks like. This boss on Heroic is a joke. You can basically just ignore the mechanics. It doesn't actually matter. We'll see what it looks like on Mythic. But you get chained and you have to break the chains using mechanics in the room. As you saw, it did no damage to me. I lived it easily, so it didn't matter on Heroic. But we'll see on Mythic. So I'll see you at the next boss. what does the third boss in the dungeon? There's not a lot to say here. It's a pretty straightforward boss. Dodge stuff on the ground. And this is again where I think that return ability will be very helpful. And then, not to belabor the point, but my Time Warp was not the one that was cast, but our Evoker, who now has Lust, went ahead and ripped Lust on this. But because I'm a mage running that talent, I will still have Lust for the next boss because of that talent. So it's just a super, super good, like, powerful piece of utility. They just need to make it less punishing to actually use and be like less group dependent on when Lust gets pulled. After the boss, you'll see one of the things that they're doing in Dragonflight, which I don't know how I feel about yet, is they are making it so that professions actually can matter in dungeons. So I don't know what this one does. I've never actually been a high enough profession to use it. But I click on this little shield here, and it gives me an option to do something with my blacksmithing. I think it's a skip, if I remember right, but it's super handy. So level your professions, they're going to start to matter. The other thing that we have the return of is, so we can now get greater invisibility, so we have an extra defensive ability. I used Invis right there to skip past those paths because I was messing around with other stuff so you guys could see it, and I would have pulled the pat, but I was able to rip my invisibility. I had the extra movement speed aspect of it as well from the talent, but you can see now greater invis is still off cooldown, so they don't share the same cooldown anymore. So I still have that piece of defensive utility that I can use later on.
At last, Emberstoke! The forges will ring today! Stay your...
So we're coming up on the final boss here. So I go ahead and cast Lust, bring in my Combust, because I have that talent. And he's a pretty straightforward boss overall. Avoid the frontal, do big damn. But there is a twist towards the end of this fight where he's going to spawn a shield. And during that, you'll see the thing pop up on my screen that says look for items around the room to help you with the boss. So there's these little gold coins that I'm going to click on here in a second, and then I throw those at them, and that helps you break the shield. So be on the lookout for that. See, there it is. You can easily end up with a forever shield if your group doesn't know about it. So make sure you're clicking the little swirlies, throw it at the shield. Bang, you can see it just did a ton of damage to that shield if you're watching the health bar. And then pump the boss and kill the boss, and that's the end of the dungeon. Thank you guys so much for watching. As always, I appreciate your attention. Be on the lookout for more Dragonflight content coming soon. Let me know what you guys think and what you guys want to see. I'm personally really excited for Dragonflight. I think it's going to be a really good expansion, and I'll see you in the next one.